But let's talk about we were talking about your dad, and let's talk a bit about your pre-comedy times, because I didn't know so much about how you got into comedy, but also the stuff you did beforehand. And yeah, I found out today you were in you did a double act for 3 performances.
3 gigs.
when you were 17.
When I was 17.
What were they called? Tell us what they were called.
The double act, it was me and a lad called Shane Marks, and we called ourselves Marks and Spencer.
It's good. I mean, I thought you just thought, oh, let's make this up, but that actually works.
Actually
so
true,
it is
yeah.
good. Yeah.
So it was when Vic and Bob were, like almost like my football team. You know, like it was like that kind of like, this is amazing. And we kind of did this sort of like pastiches of their Nick bits, and kind of there was an old advert on the telly that we used to take the mick out of, and we did 1 gig. It was brilliant, and I was like, this is brilliant. And I genuinely I lost my virginity after the first gig,
Right.
and I was the last one of all of the boys.
Was
So
it with Marks, or was it? The gig went very well. That's certainly what happened with me and Stu.
And then we did another gig, and I dealt with a heckler, and I was like, I'm on fire here, 17 years old.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd gig, we got asked to do the 6th form party. And so I was like, by this point, I was literally the most confident 17-year-old in the world. I said, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. And we get to this party. It's all of my friends there, and they've all snuck vodka in and stuff, and they're all, people are trying to dance and get off with each other or whatever it was. And I walk in with a suitcase with the words M&S written on the side. Go up to the DJ. Yeah, stop the record. We're going to do some comedy now. 6 o'clock. Yeah, comedy on now. He went, you sure? I went, yeah, absolutely. And we did this routine, and I have never died on my arse so hard in my life since. 40, usually at a gig, you might get somebody going, you're a twat, shut up, or whatever. But this was 40 of my mates, and they hated me.
Right.
Because I'd ruined their night, and then I didn't do comedy then for 6 years.
Wow.
It messed me up. It was really bad.
I mean, if you're not ready to take that beat, I mean, that happens a lot, and I think it must happen the other way around a lot, where people do 1 gig and it's terrible, and then they never come back again. And you must lose you'll lose a lot of bad comedians, but you'll also lose a lot of potentially good comedians, because you're gonna fail a few times in the first 2,000 shows. Yeah. So it takes a long time to get there. So it's sort of interesting that, and that's the thing you learn, isn't it? As you do comedy, you don't want to be on really with a band. You don't want to be on, like, if people are dancing, you don't want to change the mood that much, because people aren't going to want it.
And you get those messages from people, can you come and do my 40th?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know, that's going to work, really. Suppose 40 of us in a house, it'll be all right. You're like, I don't know, that's going to be a bit weird. So I didn't do it for a while, and then I got cajoled into having a go at stand-up, straight stand-up. Yeah. Which I was bad at, but I did it a bit. And I was working. It was in London by this point, and so you're kind of doing it a little bit, not like I should have. I sort of floated around, and then started working in production. Making. You remember there used to be adverts on TV to sell records, like out now at our price. That sort of thing. I used to make those. I was a producer. I ended up being a producer of doing that. So I was kind of always doing bits and pieces, At the same time, I was still playing in a junk band, like a gas pipe shop in Charlie's Kitchen Sinks band that my English teacher had started, and I joined, and that was still happening. And I was in a wedding band at the same time. I was DJing. I was even doing a bit of bouncing as well. I wasn't the muscle, but I'm quite good at recognising and spotting a wrong 'un. Because I'm naturally attracted to them. So I did that, and it's just nicking a living, you know what I mean? Just like, and as well as that, I was running, as a runner, so before being a producer. So as soon as I moved to London, I kind of went up with I think I had about 600 quid in my pocket that I'd got from being naughty. and I spent it in 2 weeks, and then I got a job at a pub, and then kind of got into pubs, and then kept coming back to kind of performing and always trying to do it. Yeah,
because the stuff you do is, I mean, I love it, and if people have seen it, you do it live shows, it's been on TV, you've done the Herbert Clunkerdunk shows on TV. It's so imaginative and different, than most people would be doing. And it's hard to imagine you doing like straight stand-up.
Yeah.
But also it's really hard to imagine how you got to the point where you thought, I'm going to give this a go and see how this goes. Because that's a big leap to kind of go, I'm going to try and do something really different than, especially when you're doing clubs, right? Which you must have done to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
If everyone else is doing stand-up about their girlfriends or their boyfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Then I got off the bus. And you know, you're coming on dressed in tights.
Yeah, it wasn't a smooth transition.
No, I'm guessing not.
No, it was, you know, it's like, up in London, I think there's kind of like two scenes, comedy scenes. There's kind of like the club comedians, the big clubs, the amazing, those kind of places. And then there's these kind of smaller places where people can try out weird stuff, like more sort of like, I call it the groovy gang because they're just a bit, let's try this, you know. And so it started out, I went and did a clown course and then I worked out, you know, not like a all that, you know. But I did a clown course, and it was just for a week. And I'd never trained. I didn't go to university. I haven't got any training. But I went, and there was some things in that, some real sort of nuggets of like that I took with me. But then, literally, the first gig, which was so bad, because I walked on, I went, I've got this theory is book the gig, and then you create the problem, and then you've got to solve the problem by doing the gig.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get some material together and I'm ready, I'll book the gig, because you'll never book the gig. You'll never do it. So book the gig, and then it comes, and then on the day of the gig, oh God, I bought this off the internet, I'll take this with me. It was funny when I was shouting into a pint glass the other day and making it quieter. Plus 5 minutes, isn't it? And so those gigs were like that. That first gig I came on, I think on the first one I came on as me and then said, did a bit of whatever, and then went, I'd like to introduce someone now, ran off stage, put some tights on, came on and it died on my arse. And then the next one I just went on as him. And then it just started to work a little bit, you know? I found that I was... Before I did the clown course, I knew that I was pretty average, just an average bloke. I wasn't ever going to, an average comedian, sorry, and I wasn't ever going to do anything ever the way I was going. I knew I needed to shake it up.
Yeah.
And I think Kearns had just gone and done a clown course with the same bloke.
Right.
And he'd had it, John Kearns, a brilliant comedian.
Friend of the podcast.
Yeah. And I'd seen some success that he'd done, and he'd added stuff to his thing. Not that he's a clown, it was enough for me. And I suddenly found myself energized to kind of go. I kept thinking about it. I'd just sit in the garden, having a fag, thinking about it, and I found myself going, "This is for me. I like this." So that was enough. Once I started watching the tapes back and knew that I was being funny and it was getting bigger laughs than anything else that I'd done, that was enough for me. And then it was just about. Then it's that, as you know, it's about the slow progression of things. Things slowly creep up.
I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, people email you and want advice on how to start and you know how to write a set and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And it's just prevarication. You know, it's procrastination. It's stopping getting to the point. And I always say to them, all you got to do is just do it. You can write, you can do it, book some gigs and do it. Because you're gonna have 3 gigs. One of them will go badly. Yeah. One of them you'll lose your virginity. Yeah.
Wish I'd never said that now.
So, I always say that to them, and it's always true.